Hi, hello everybody. Welcome to another Legal Mondo webinar today. We are jumping over to the beautiful European country of Italy, Milan to be exact, and we have the wonderful Politecnico di Milano who are here to talk you through all things architecture, design and engineering. Today, obviously, we always welcome questions. Please do ask them throughout the webinar and we will get to them at the very end. We do have a Q&A box just at the bottom of our screen that you will be able to ask any questions should you have any throughout the webinar. And for those on Facebook, please do register below and we'll be able to get to your questions at the very end. So for me, that's it. I'm going to hand you over to your host, Chiara, who will be taking you through the presentation today.
Thank you very much. Yes, my name is Chiara and I am currently in Milan and really proud to be here in front of a screen, but I know you're behind the screen to present Politecnico di Milano. But overall, I'm really happy to be here with two of our current students of master degree who come from the US, who just arrived basically to Italy from the US. And I'm talking about Colin and Spencer, who decided to join us today. So welcome, guys, and thank you for being with us. And I think you might introduce yourself, so just for the students to know what you are, and then we go on.
I can go first. Yeah, I'm Colin. So as Chiara said, I'm originally from Knoxville, Tennessee. I graduated in 2019 with a 5-year Bachelor's of Architecture from the University of Tennessee in Knoxville, and I worked for 3 years as an architect in Washington, D.C. And now I'm here actually studying for a laurea magistrale, which is the equivalent of a master's degree, master's of science degree in urban planning and policy design at Polini. So as Chiara mentioned, I just got here maybe 3-4 weeks ago, about a month ago, and just been settling in.
Hi, I'm Spencer Durthick. I just graduated from Washington University in St. Louis in May. It was a 4-year program in architecture, and I also studied landscape architecture. I worked the past year as well in the fields of architecture and landscape architecture. I'm originally from like the Boulder, Denver area, but I live closer to Denver now. And then I'm doing a building architecture 2-year degree at Polini. And Colin and I are both Fulbright scholars from the US as well.
Yeah, thank you, guys. Yeah, that's also very important information to share because both of them are scholarship holders. So we have a partnership with Fulbright. We're really proud of this. And one student every year, or depending on their agreement, but 1 or 2 students every year can come to Politecnico di Milano and study at master level with a full scholarship offered by Fulbright Commission. And why Politecnico di Milano? Well, this is a very important and prestigious university located in Milan, which offers programs of architecture, design, and engineering. Both our students are architects here, and they both study in the main campus of the university, which is Milan Leonardo. And they are starting enjoying the experience in Milan as students, even if they're currently in Rome for a meeting with the Fulbright Commission. But yeah, Milan is the place they will enjoy the most in the next 2 years of studies. And what's your impression so far of the city?
Yeah, I was able to come and visit earlier for Design Week, which is one of the largest design events in the world and usually takes place in April, but this year it was in June. So there's about 700 or so exhibitions, presentations, and public art displays that were really interesting to see. The city has a lot of life and especially a lot of younger people living in the city. So it's a great area to move to as a younger person. The Fashion Week was also about a week ago, and I was able to go to 2 of the runway shows as well. So the city is very lively with arts and culture, which I've loved so far.
Yeah, and I would just add, I would say the cost of living in general for a comparatively large city in the US is much cheaper here in Milan and in Italy more generally. than say the same size city in the US. And it's really well connected by rail and by airports and that kind of thing to access other incredible cities across the continent and in Italy. So for instance, tomorrow morning I'll take the train back to Rome. It'll be from Rome back to Milan. It'll be a 2.5 hour, 3 hour train ride, and I'll be back in Milan, early morning tomorrow. So it's a great jumping off point to explore the rest of the country and the continent.
Yeah, which is something we usually suggest students to take advantage of, because Milan is located in the north of Italy, in the region called Lombardia, and in the same region, Politecnico di Milano has different campuses in other smaller cities, which are all of them are very well located, very well connected with Milan, of course, but also with other cities in Italy and in Europe. So when you come to Italy, you just have the chance also to travel, enjoy your time, and discover other places, which are, because it's basically a small country compared to overall to the US and Canada. And the advantage of being at Politecnico di Milano is also that is really a university where research is a mission. So we are the first university in Italy for projects funded by the European Commission. At the moment, Spencer and Colin have just arrived 2 or 3 weeks ago. So they just started their classes, but they will enjoy and they will take advantage also of the labs, which are part of Politecnico di Milano, which are open to the students and of course through the researchers. And this is something you will experience if you come to Politecnico. The atmosphere is research. The professors are involved in research projects, which means that are always very competent in the field they teach and they work in. And this is a way just to show what I mentioned so far, because on these 2 websites, Frontiere and Progress in Research, you can find important articles about the main topics of research which are carried out at Politecnico di Milano, and in general the contribution of Polimi, which is the nickname of Politecnico di Milano, to different areas of research in cooperation also with other universities and research centers. And this is important because let's say the atmosphere you breathe and you feel while you are enrolled even at bachelor level is of this kind, of a university which offers bachelor, master and PhD programs, giving you the opportunity to approach the academic world and the research. Then the majority of the programs of master degree are taught in English. So and let's say you don't have to worry about knowing Italian before coming, even if it's not a bad idea to have knowledge, like Colin, if I'm not wrong, your Italian is improving.
Sì, un po', piano piano.
Yeah, but it's nice if you decide to study Italian before coming, even if you're at academic level, you will study in English. And this allows students from all over the world to come here and study. I know that you both attended the Welcome Week in the last a few weeks ago, and you had the experience, right? You had the chance to be in contact with students from different countries.
Yeah, there's a lot of students in my class from other countries. There's actually only just 2 of us from the United States in my specific classes. So in all of the group work that we've started and done so far, I've got a lot of chances to meet people from other countries. And the Welcome Week events were pretty exciting and fun, with integrating students from all the different countries, and a good chance to meet people before the semester started.
Super. Yeah, the internationalization is really an important aspect for Politecnico di Milano. Of course, a lot of Italian students choose Politecnico di Milano, which It's the first Italian university, but of course, also several students from all over the world want to be here and study. The majority of them at PhD, at postgraduate level, so at master level. And about what I was saying before, studying Italian is not necessary. You don't need to know Italian when you apply and come to Politecnico di Milano, but you will be required to be asked to study Italian while you're here, and just for a specific reason, which is integrate. So integration is a very important aspect. In Milan, you can live without knowing Italian because it's really an international city. But let's say to make friends, to work, to find a better job, or to also to travel easily, we decided, we think that it's important for students to know a little bit of Italian at minimum level, and so this is the challenge for for students to come and study in English, but will be asked to study Italian before graduation. I think it's an opportunity. It's not really a challenge, but yeah, let's see in 2 years' time what Spencer and Kalle will tell us. I hope you will decide to stay in Italy for longer. So knowing Italian makes the things easier, of course. And about the programs, and I was saying that the majority of them are taught in English, and I'm talking about the Master of Science programs, and these are the full list of programs in engineering, and the university was established as a school of engineering, so we have new programs coming out every year, and then the list of programs in architecture and design. Why did you choose that specific program you are enrolled in now, Spencer, for example?
Yeah, I can start. The building architecture program is the most similar to the Masters of Architecture programs in the United States, and was the easiest for me to get education in Italy while still getting a license later in my career in the United States, and just the comparability of that worked the best for me. But there are like 7 programs to choose from that meet different needs and will fulfill different licensure requirements, should you choose to pursue architecture and design as a career profession after.
I see.
I had a bit of a different path. I had a 5-year BArch, so I was kind of already into licensure for architecture. I was already allowed to kind of pursue that route. And so I worked for a few years at an architecture firm, and I knew I wanted to kind of pivot towards urban planning and policy after working for a few years. And so it was a great way of kind of combining my architecture background with something that was new but also related, and something that still had design in it. There's still design studios, but it's also brings a lot more policy, sociology, urban ethnography kind of coursework into play. And so that was a kind of a unique program that I didn't really see elsewhere, in the US or also around the rest of Europe.
Yeah, I see. And did you guys submit the portfolio for applying?
Yes.
Yes, they're both. Yeah, I think so.
Do you have any suggestions about that for students who may be interested in architecture programs?
Yeah, I guess I can talk first. So many of the students probably have been working on portfolios to apply for summer internships and other things throughout the year. My biggest suggestion would be to stay updated with your portfolio every semester and make sure you enter in all of your projects as soon as you complete them, so it's top of memory for what you did for your project and how you want to organize and show it. But just having like relatively simple layouts for your portfolio will help the readability a lot, and showing the full process of sketches to beginning line work in the computer to like your final designs is really helpful for people reviewing your portfolio to understand the way that you think and create your own designs.
Yeah, and I would include adding any professional experience that you have. And also, there's no page requirement, I believe, for the portfolio, at least not when I applied. but I would heavily encourage everyone to be concise with the number of pages and the number of projects that they're including in their portfolio. There's no, minimum or maximum from what I understand, but it's probably wise to have, a certain, kind of amount of concision with your visual kind of representation and your documents and your projects that you're submitting to Polini.
Yeah, I agree with you. But well, they were admitted to Politecnico, so you can trust their suggestions and tips. But I also can say that this last sentence is also very important. Don't include so many projects, but just a few, the most relevant ones, and describe the process, as Spencer said. So these are very important tips I appreciate you shared. And if you have other questions or doubts or anything you want to ask to other students who are currently enrolled at Politecnico di Milano, I suggest you to contact them through the Ask a Student projects. You see the QR code here, and you will find also the link on the website, because it's a very great chance to know more about the programs, the students' life, and so on. And it's online, so you book your own appointment and you can talk one-to-one to one of the current students of Polini. So thank you for sharing. And about the admission process and information, well, the admission is very easy, I might say, meaning that you should check the entry requirements, which are basically the basic ones are to have a bachelor degree in the field of the master degree you want to apply for, and provide an English language certificate. Of course, for students currently in the US studying in English, or in Canada studying in English, there's no need to provide any certificate of English language, but just transcript attesting that you studied in English. And then you just fill out the application. Registering, selecting the programs you are interested in. You can select 2 programs and then upload the documents I will show you in the next slide. The application fee is 50 euros. This is non-refundable, and it's the moment when you pay this amount, your application will be submitted, and there's no way to go back. So just be careful when you upload the documents I show you now, which are partially mandatory. So the ones you see on the left are the ones we need you to upload: the academic qualification, the transcript, your CV, a portfolio for architects and designers, and the language certificates, meaning also the transcript in this case, if you studied in English. And then the optional documents, which are not mandatory but might boost your application, which are the GRE for engineers and architects, the letter of motivation you write, and a letter of recommendation from written by a professor or an employer, and your core description, which means that in the description of the topics you took during your bachelor degree. So this is a set of documents you need to upload to have your application revised, and you can do that until November the 8th if you want to enter in September 2023. There will be a second call from January to March for September 2023. But if you have the idea of applying and already are interested in, I would suggest to apply earlier, because there are more chances on admission, and of course more seats available now. Concerning the fees, I'm sorry guys, I don't know if you have any additional tips about the application, or I guess it's not so hard as a process.
No, it wasn't too bad. I think if you have other things happening at the same time, it makes it a little trickier. And it's in general, like the amount of paperwork you need to travel to a foreign country is of course more later on than you would need to stay in the US, but the application process itself was relatively simple.
Yeah.
You didn't use all of the optional materials, and it was fine, but I would, if you're able to submit all of them, I would highly recommend it.
Thank you.
And I would just say, reach out to Chiara in the International Students Office if if you have any questions. Sorry, I'm putting in the spot again, Kiara, but you guys they're great at responding. I had so many questions when I first applied, and so they're always great at getting back to people really fast.
Thank you, Colin. Yeah, and we are available. We are always available and ready for answering the questions, the doubts. I mean, traveling all to the other side of the world to study for a long experience, it's challenging. It might be scary. So it's definitely important to have someone to be in contact with. So I'm glad we were useful, and we will be also for the future students, of course. What you need to know also is that the fees for the master degree are 3,900 euros per year for students coming from outside of the European Union. And in case you have an Italian nationality or European nationality, the maximum you pay is 3,900 euros per year, which, well, I think that for students coming from the US, it's interesting, according to at least according to what I know about the fees in the US. But anyway, we also provide some scholarships which are merit-based, meaning that you don't need to apply, but to this scholarship, you just need to apply to the program, and you will be selected for a merit-based scholarship, which cover the tuition fees and might provide you with up to 10,000 euros per year. In addition to this, also other scholarships are available, offered by the Italian government, but also by the local governments. For example, if you talk about the US, the Fulbright Commission offers a scholarship for students coming to Politecnico di Milano. So if you have in mind to apply, you can also consider that it's possible to study for free at Politecnico di Milano.
So actually really fast with the Fulbright application, unfortunately, the deadline to do it through your school has already passed. So you would have to wait an additional year to apply for the Fulbright scholarship.
Yeah.
Specific program.
Yeah, that's true. And sometimes I guess some of the students who are listening are also looking for future experiences. So let's keep an eye open. But yes, that's an important information to share. And going back to what we offer as a university, well, we try to make the experience not only an academic experience, but also a life experience. So we try to have you involved in different activities, the welcome activities, like the welcome week we mentioned before, the events that take place on campus. We try to put you in contact with a buddy student who's currently here and willing to answer your questions before you arrive. And of course, you can take advantage of all the sports facilities which are on campus. Super brand new sports facilities located on Leonardo campus and Lecco campus. So we really hope that the experience is not only linked to the study, but also to the connections, the other activities that are available on campus, included the trips that our students associations organize. I know that you've been here just a few weeks, but maybe you had the chance to know more about some of these services.
Yeah, I would encourage anyone who does decide to come to Politecnico to join the Erasmus Student Network. It's a really great resource. You meet a ton of international students from all over the world, not just Europe, but yeah, all over. And you also meet plenty of Italians who are studying with you across different disciplines too. So it's not just, you know, international kind of people from different backgrounds. It's also people from different academic backgrounds. And they usually have tandem nights where you can learn Italian, or they'll have aperitivo nights. They'll have field trips to, say, Bologna. They're doing one, I think, later on this week or this month. So there are lots of ways to get involved on campus. Yeah, and I think if you're making the jump to go to a foreign country for school, it's not hard to start making new friends here in Milan. The Italians are super nice, and there are tons of different organizations that are affiliated with the university, where people are always, excited to hang out and to welcome new people.
That's great to hear. Yeah, we try to be welcome. So we really hope, well, people and university and staff at the university. So we also organize some events like the Polyme Run, which takes place twice a week, which is twice a year. Of course, it's for people who are fond of running, but it's also a good occasion to know other people, to be there, to be part of Polyme in a different way. But then, of course, cinema is organized on campus and other activities, which are fun and not only studying. And what we try to do is also to consider to take you to welcome you before you arrive. So as Colin said, we really try to be there before you apply, during your application, and as soon as you're admitted. So we try to be in contact with you, and also we try to take care of you after graduation. And the career service is in charge of this. It's office in the university, which organizes job fairs and help the students in applying to internship and job opportunities, to organize workshops on specific topics. So they really help the students and the graduates to find a job. By the way, students coming from outside Europe can work up to 20 hours per week while they study. So if you're thinking about studying, finding a job during the 2 years of master, you can do so, and you can work up to 20 hours per week. After graduation, of course, you can be hired and get a job, which is full-time in Italy or abroad. And you can rely on the career service for this, definitely. It's interesting to know that 50%, almost a little bit more than 50% of the international alumni decided to stay in Italy for their first job after graduation. And the others also found some opportunities through the career service, which publishes job opportunities not only in Italy, but also abroad. And also, after graduation, you can decide maybe to apply to a PhD program, which is, well, we have 20 different programs in Politecnico di Milano. All of them are in English, and all of them are requiring an application, which is opens usually in April until May. In case of admission, you will not pay any fee. The doctorate program is free of charge, and you might get a scholarship, which is about 1,500 euros per month. So it's also a great opportunity for students who are interested in research, in academic opportunities, and in also maybe studying abroad for 18 months, because it is something the PhD offers. And last but not least, students and graduates can also submit their projects and their ideas to the Poly Hub, which is Innovation District and Startup Accelerator, which is part of Politecnico di Milano. And so for students who are interested in being entrepreneurs, well, we have the opportunity to have your project funded by Polyme and by the Poly Hub. So let's say when you finish, you have different paths. Of course, you can find your job by your own. You can rely on the career service. You might decide to apply to a PhD program, or submit your idea to the Poly Hub and get funds for that. Let's say we never leave you alone. So once you are Polyme, you are Polyme forever. And which means being part of the university, of a prestigious university forever, honestly, because also the Alumni Association organizes convention every year for graduates of 40 years ago, 30 years ago. So it's really a community, and we are all very proud to be among the first 10 universities in architecture in the world. So if you decide to come here, you definitely are sure that Polyme is a prestigious and well-recognized university all over the world. I just stopped talking and finish my presentation on this slide, which is related to the contacts. And I also invite you again to be in contact with other students, current students of the university. And I would love to give floor to Spencer and Colin for a final impression and last words, if you wish.
Yeah, I would just add on the point of the employment. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, you have 18 months after graduation in Italy to search for a job, visa free. That's, I think, an important consideration for non-EU people. So if you are looking for a job in Italy, you'll have 18 months after the point of graduation to find employment, which is, I think, an ample amount of time. And if you've ever visited Milan, Milan's a super industrial, incredibly vibrant city there are lots of really interesting jobs and in northern Italy specifically. So
yeah, that's good.
I don't have too much else to add for this, but I'm happy to start answering questions if we want to do that.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you guys for a brilliant presentation. I think it was super informative. We do have a few questions here. I do think you've touched on a few of them, so don't feel that you have to give a very detailed answer. But the first one is, I guess, directed at the students. How did you find the perfect program for you? And did you submit any portfolios?
Yes, I think we both did. Spencer and I both submitted portfolios. I think for all the programs in architecture, you submit architecture and urban planning, which is what I'm in. You submit a portfolio. I found it mostly through, first of all, through website, but also through speaking with Chiara actually at a career fair a couple of years ago and discussing it with her. So again, I would always, highly suggest you to reach out to the International Student Office and see if you can also find resources, word of mouth, people in Milan on the ground, if you can, to discuss it as well. But that's kind of how I kind of initially found out about the urban planning and policy design program.
And I think it is hard to decide which of like, for example, for architecture, there's 7 different programs, and I think it is challenging to decide because a lot of other schools don't offer that many options. And so I was just thinking further in my career of what I hope to accomplish with licensure and working later. But there's a lot of overlap between the programs. So if there's something like urban design in some way, like you could either pick between the architecture and urban design one or the urban planning one. And there's some overlap to a degree that I think you'd be content with, but it is challenging to decide between all of the different programs listed because there's a lot of options.
And
yeah, that's all.
You can apply for 2 programs,
yeah,
if I'm not mistaken, right? But one is ranked, first, and then the second one is ranked second. So your first choice, if you get in, you would get in to that first choice. And if you perhaps didn't get into that first choice, you would be considered for the second choice. Correct, Chiara?
Yeah, that's something that I've been. It was that way. Yeah, when you apply it, it's changed now. So both choices will be revised anyway. So yeah, which is gives more opportunity, more chances to the students to be admitted. So it's important what you said. Consider that you can apply for 2 programs when you submit your application.
Okay, and another question here. So how difficult was the transition from the States to Europe? Have you got many chances to travel to other parts of the EU? But I think you've just started, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure you have plans.
I didn't find it too difficult to transition from the States to Milan, especially because it is, in my opinion, like quite similar to parts of Chicago and New York City. I think it's more lively, like the social scene to me is more lively than the cities in the US, but I found the transition relatively easy. I think if you do speak Italian or a little bit of Italian, it will be easier in some of the instances where you have to go to the post office or talk to customer service people who mostly speak Italian. It is easier to transition if you do know Italian, but I barely know any. coming in, and I feel like the transition was at first similar to being a tourist in the country, and then at some point you realize that you're no longer a tourist and you live in Italy, which is pretty exciting. But I didn't notice like too much cultural contrast that made the experience jarring in any way. And actually, to answer the second part of the question, I was able to travel a little bit in the second week of school because I didn't have class. So I was able to go hiking in northern Italy around Chamonix Mont Blanc and do a weekend trip to Ireland to visit some family as well. I think it'll be a little harder when I get more busy with school, but at least in the first few months, you might have some weekend time to travel.
Thank you. And accommodation. So this is an interesting one. How was it to find accommodation there, and what is the cost of living like at the moment?
I can take that one, and maybe Spencer, you can add as well your experience. I would say that is one of the more challenging aspects of moving abroad. At any point, you know, it gets more complicated when you're trying to find housing. But from whenever I actually booked my own kind of accommodation and spoke with realtors and went to a real estate office and found a place that's significantly cheaper than what I was paying in, let's say, the equivalent city in the U.S. in Washington, D.C. So it is cheaper, but the process is certainly a little bit convoluted, and it can be a little bit frustrating at times, just to be candid. But you know, again, if you know, there are plenty of options. The university offers accommodation, and that's a really good route. First of all, because you can make built-in friends just by being in a dorm with other people. And then there are, of course, other options. There are tons of resources and websites, housinganywhere.com and Airbnb, of course. I'm trying to think. There are a few others. Spencer, I'm blanking now. Spot a Home, but there are a bunch of resources that the university provides as well. So it's just one of those kind of initial cultural shocks, maybe, but you know, it usually always works out. And again, it's significantly cheaper in terms of cost of living than the United States. I mean, Milan is more expensive, I think, for Italians than maybe perhaps the rest of the country or the rest of Italy. But for the US, it's quite affordable, and the standard of living is really great.
Amazing, thank you. And out of interest, will either of you take any internships while you're there, or are you going to solely be studying architecture and engineering?
Part of my program includes an internship as a graduation requirement. So I do plan to have at least a short internship, maybe during the summer or during my third or fourth semester. I probably won't plan to work part-time other than the internship, though.
Yep, and I plan to probably do the same and intern somewhere, either at an architecture firm or a planning consultancy, hopefully in Milan in the next 2 years. Yeah.
And Chiara, maybe can we go back to the admissions? Do you have a date of when they close, or are they running admissions?
Yeah, sure. We can go back also to the slide, which shows the deadlines. Yeah, here it is. So the application is now open for September 2023. The first deadline is November the 8th, meaning that we have 2 calls. The first was from September 8th until November the 8th. And then there will be another call opening on the 10th of January until March 2nd, and they are equal, meaning that the students can apply now or later. They cannot apply twice, but once at post semester. But what my suggestion is to consider to apply earlier, so by the 8th of November, to have more chances of admission. More seats are available, and it's just a better idea. But if you don't have the documents, you want to wait for any reason, it's fine. You can apply until March 2nd.
Okay, thank you. And I think this is actually regarding applications. So how can I make the best impression at application stage? I struggle a little bit with writing a letter of motivation.
Well, the most important thing is to, well, let's say, of course, collect the right documents, which is already a challenge because sometimes we see some applications which are not really submitted in the right way. So you have to be careful, check that which are the documents we require and submit the right ones. Then the motivation recommendation letter and GRE for us are not mandatory. So if you don't feel like writing one, if you don't know how to, you can avoid uploading a letter motivation. But my suggestion is just to be honest first, and then to ask someone who knows you to read it. And to help you with the cutting the parts which are not necessary. It should be short, honest, and effective, let's say.
Brilliant, thank you. And I think these are questions aimed at the students. So which organizations have you joined, if any, and any advice on what to choose? I think they're talking about organizations within university.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
I haven't joined
You go.
Better talks. Yeah, go for it.
No, yeah, I was just saying that you just arrived, so probably you didn't have much chance to join any association so far, except for the ESN, the Erasmus Students Network, which Colin mentioned before. But yeah, go ahead, Spencer and Colin. I just wanted to say so.
Yeah, the only thing I think we're both in is probably ESN. I've been so excited since coming here to spend all my free time traveling and seeing parts of the city. So I didn't really settle down and have a habit yet of actually like going to class and being more involved with the school. So I think once I get over the initial excitement of being in Italy, I'll hopefully join something.
Yeah, that's totally fair. I'm sure you've got a good good amount of things and places to see and do. And I think the last question that we have is about the funded research projects. So can you explain a little bit more about the funded research projects and what do you need from students to be able to do so?
Yeah, the research projects, well, they're, I guess he refers to the PhD, he or she refers to the PhD opportunities. Well, there is an abstract to be submitted to the professors. There is a format on our website, so you can just have a look on the PhD. Yes, here it is. The PhD sorry, the PhD page, and you will see which is the abstract, which is the format the professors require it to be submitted. And in general, it's just an idea of the topic you want to work on, and how to, and it might change. So it's just for the professors to understand what's your interest, how you work, how you would work on that specific topic, but then you might agree on writing your dissertation on something else.
Okay, well, thank you guys. Thank you for your presentation and also for asking all the questions to you guys for attending. And thanks to the two students, Spencer and Cullen. It's been really nice to meet you both. And good luck really on your journey in Italy. Hopefully you guys come down to the UK on your travels as well, which I'm sure you will. Any last words of advice, Rennie, for students coming over? No?
No?
Yeah, I don't think we have anything. But yeah, thank you for the people who came and were listening and asking questions.
Okay, awesome. All right, well, thank you, everybody. And for those who are on demand, we will be emailing you all of this, the whole session today very soon. Thank you for joining. All right, everybody, have a great day.
Thank you. Thank you very much.